Welcome to Season 1 of our brand new podcast, Hey Emma, highlighting the issues of being a teenager.
We'll focus on the similarities and differences in the way we think about a variety of situations in our lives.
Join us on this journey as hopefully it'll be interesting, humorous, and eye-opening to see how a teenage girl thinks today and how her dad supports, opposes, and sometimes changes his mind.
Hey, Emma.
Hey, Dad.
We're going to discuss a topic that affects most families out there, growing up with siblings.
Whether you have brothers, sisters, or some mix of blended families, we'll hope you'll find some reassurance that all sibling relationships are crazy.
So in this episode, we wanted to cover the importance of having siblings, but also the challenges with growing up with siblings. So I know, Emma, this was something that's very close to your heart, seeing as how you have two siblings. You have, I know, an older sister who has some special needs, and you also have a younger sister. Do you want to talk about your initial thoughts about having siblings?
There's definitely some struggles and some upsides to having siblings, but I think mostly it's very nice to have siblings because of the close relationships that you have and how you can talk about anything to them, because I feel closer to them than I do my actual friends, which I don't know if that's saying something, but it's just because you hang out with them every single day and you see them every single day that you get this bond that you can't have with anybody else that is really special, and that's what I really like about having siblings.
Definitely, you guys get along pretty well. What about the times when you don't get along pretty well? Because there's plenty of those times, too. There are times when I really want to pull my hair out because you guys are fighting and battling and what else?
Well, I think it's just because, even though we are siblings, we have our differences, and we understand every time that we fight. We understand each other, and that's probably why we always want to one-up each other when we're fighting, is because we know each other's weaknesses and we try to be louder, better, stronger, meaner than the other person or whatever. So our fights can get pretty intense just because, we love each other and we know each other so well that we want to just be better than the other person. Or what.
That was clear.
Yeah.
I think it's true. I think you do kind of try to wind up each other. I know that there's a lot of challenges you have with your younger sister because she is sharp. And she does challenge you, and she challenges you to be smarter. And I know she can push your buttons. She is so good at pushing your buttons.
Yeah, and but then I'm good at pushing her buttons too. So it's just the dynamics that we have. They could go well some days and go horribly wrong other days. So
that's true, yeah, because there are days when you guys actually get along very, very well. So,
yeah.
And I like those days because they're quite peaceful.
Yeah. And then there's my older sister that, we all are very, very close to her too, but she doesn't just hang out with us as much because she's usually does a lot of independent things by herself. So I don't know if it's just that I don't have anything to argue with her about, or if it's just I have a different relationship with her than I do with my younger sister. But I definitely see a difference in how I don't like to argue with her as much, maybe because I don't see her as much, but it's just...
It's interesting. You have been really, really close to Leah, the older sister, and she has Down syndrome, so she does have delays in speech and intellectual delays. But ever since the very beginning, you've been so, so close to her. In fact, you guys share a room, and when we tried to separate you guys into separate bedrooms, you flat out said no, you did not want to be separated. And I found that really surprising because I thought you'd want your privacy, but no. You just love being really close to your sister. So
yeah, and even just recently, we do this summer camp at our church called Totus Tuus, and I didn't want to go. If I don't ever want to go unless she's going, because I just feel a sense of comfort with her. Maybe it's because I have no other friends there. I don't know, but I just feel a sense of comfort with her when I'm in social situations, I guess.
So that's part of your introvertedness that we covered in another podcast episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's your introversion does prevent you from making friends very easily, and you tend to rely on your older sister, she's pretty outgoing too. She's not
Yeah.
she is introverted as well, just by the nature of her challenges in communication. But she will go up and meet people. She has no problem doing that.
Yeah. And I think it's cool how I can understand her a lot better than other people. And then it makes me frustrated too when nobody else understands her. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she's just saying this. And nobody else gets it because I don't know why, but whether it's a waitress at a restaurant or even my parents sometimes don't understand what she's saying. I'm just sitting there trying to make sure that they figure it out themselves. But eventually I just cut in like, okay, she said this, get it right.
Clearly that's a point of irritation for you.
Yeah. But then another thing that I wanted to talk about was middle child syndrome, because I have an older sister and a younger sister, so I'm kind of in the middle. And I think there are some days when I feel the middle child syndrome because they might be off with one child and then the other child, and then I'm just left, I don't know what I'm doing, but I just kind of go in my room and do whatever. But I don't know, there are some days when I feel like Lauren gets the attention, or my younger sister gets the attention because she is the cute one and the younger one, so she has lots of energy and has lots of stamina to entertain people. And then there's the older one who gets a lot of attention because she's got special needs and she's very out there and you always listen to what she says. And then there's just me who's like, oh, hey. No.
But I think you're the glue that kind of holds the whole dynamic together, because Lauren she's like we mentioned it before, she is incredibly outgoing and full of personality, and Leah is almost the opposite end of the spectrum. You are very introverted, so I don't know, do you feel jealous that Lauren has the outgoing personality and you find it painful in social situations where she finds it very easy?
Yeah, I mean, for example, my mom and I, after church, you can like go and talk to the priest, and there's like a long line to get into. We always avoid that line, go right past it, and then sometimes they might try to cut us in and sneak us in anyway, but we always try to avoid them. And then Lauren's always the one that gets the idea, hey, let's go into the line and talk to the priest. But
she loves talking to the priest. She loves getting the hugs and giving the hugs and just brightening their day.
Yeah, we are completely opposites, and yet we still work well together. Maybe that's why we get into some arguments, is because we are complete opposites. But it also is what brings us together, like you said. So
it's true. You do get along. You do fight. It's a challenge to be a parent for that. I do see a lot of the typical middle child syndrome in you, where you're jealous of one, you're jealous of the other. You do have bouts where it's what about me, what about me, what about me?
Yeah.
Kind of like the old Brady Bunch, Marsha. But, I think you handle it pretty well. And I think you're in a pretty unique situation. Maybe not completely unique, but pretty unique, because from a maturity perspective, you are more mature than your older sister.
Yeah.
Which I know brings with a relatively unique set of challenges, because we ask you to look out for and watch out for and sometimes babysit your older sister.
Yeah.
And so that, I'm sure, it's a strange dynamic.
Well,
but she can't be left alone for very long periods of time. So,
and I've gotten used to it. I mean, I accept the responsibility, so it's not like I get upset whenever I have to watch her. I think it's fine that I get to do that. And that I get to have that responsibility. And then maybe that's what pulls me out of my middle child syndrome, is because you guys trust me with that responsibility.
But what we can't do is trust you with your younger sister, because we've already proven several times that when we leave the two of you alone, you fight like cats and dogs.
Yeah.
And it's a struggle for power, I'm sure, between the two of you. But it's unfortunate that we can't leave you two alone, and so that makes our lives a little bit challenging.
Yeah, but so I know that you have a younger sister yourself, younger, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so what about your dynamics with her when you were younger?
Oh God, when we were kids, we fought a lot. There were 4 years difference between us. We didn't have a whole lot in common. She didn't like the same things I did, and I certainly didn't like the same things she did. She was, again, I'm more on the introverted side. I was a little more extroverted. I had some very close friends that I hung out with, and we liked to do outdoor things and physical things, and she had very close friends she was with who liked to do indoor things. We just had a lot of different interests when we were at that age. And we fought a lot. And we really did. So we get to the point where a lot of things happened in her life, and then, I went to college, and so we drifted apart. But now, unfortunately, she lives in Texas. I live in Illinois, so I don't get to see her that much, and I truly miss her. And we just saw her in June, and it was so great to see her, and I really, really wish we lived closer because I deeply, deeply miss her in my life. Wish that she was more available.
Yeah, that's what happens. I don't know if it was because of all the fighting, but that's what happens is you start to miss seeing them, even though, you might have had all these fights and stuff. You still end up miss seeing them because you still have that connection with them. And I think that's good that you guys, even though you fought a lot, still have that connection that you have.
Yeah. Yeah, we do have a good connection. I know she's doing amazing things in her life right now, and she's just doing some just incredible things. And I really, really want to be there and celebrate with her. And it's hard to celebrate from a distance. So yeah. It's just, she's got a great husband now and a wonderful life that she's been building for a couple of years, and it's all coming to fruition. And, it's just great to see. Makes me very proud, and I just wish I was there closer. So one of the things that your mom and I have done to try and recognize, because each of you have different individual needs and desires and wants, and you have different motivations. So we try to spend time individually with each of you. And as we're getting busier and busier with your lives and our lives, it's becoming more of a challenge. However, we do recognize that it's important to pull each of you aside and spend time with each of you individually. So we do know that Lauren likes to go out and do things that are fun and active and spend time with us. We do know that you like to do things that are more like watch a movie, but it's more still one-on-one time that we get to spend with you. We do know that Leah loves activities where, she can be challenged a little bit and then be recognized for that challenge. So by knowing those things and knowing what we can do to spend time individually with each of you, I think that helps. But again, I recognize that we haven't been able to do that very often.
Yeah, I see that definitely a lot now that you're home more often, that you have a lot of work to do, but you still try to find time or different things that we can do with the family that can help interact with the family so that we're not just kind of doing whatever. But I definitely see, like, just the other day we watched a movie and that was really fun. But, it was just you and me watching it and Lauren because that we just have those things that we need to do.
Well spoken.
Thank you. Yeah, we're going to cut my part out.
So what are you trying to say?
I do recognize that you guys do these things with us and are trying to do things individually with us, but also trying to incorporate something that we could all do together. Like when we have a family game night, I enjoy doing those because everyone can participate in it. But then there are also things definitely that you would just want each individual person to do, like watching a movie with me or playing Legos with Lauren or doing something with Leah, listening to music or something. And I appreciate that you guys do that.
Well, thanks. Well, we try. It's hard, but we certainly try because, like I said, we do get very busy too. And I'm sure a lot of families out there are just crazy busy as well with activities. So
yeah, it's
important to recognize that each person in the family has their own individual needs, and they aren't necessarily the same needs as the other people in the family. So it's important to recognize them and spend time with them.
Yeah. So that was all the time we have for today. Thank you for watching our podcast, and I hope you got a little bit of taste of what a sibling life is, and if you can relate to this video in any way.
Watching? You said watching our podcast. Who's watching the podcast?
Sorry. I was trying to do an outro, and it didn't work out, okay? Ugh. You know what? Go ahead.
Okay, well then. Thanks for joining us today. We would love to get your feedback on this. Feel free to give us feedback at growingwithgirls.com, or you can feedback on one of the podcast hosting sites as well. We don't read those nearly as frequently as on our website, but feel free to email us. You can email us directly at dad@growingwithgirls.com as well. We hope to hear from you, and we'd love to get your feedback.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
If you like this podcast, please click the like button so more people can find our podcast. Don't forget to subscribe so you can get updates when the latest episode drops. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, you can email us at dad@growingwithgirls.com. And of course, more information can be found at our website, growingwithgirls.com. Speak at you next time!